Well, good evening. I'm Kimberly Reed, and I am the Chief Operations Officer for Wastewater Treatment for Louisville MSD. And welcome to our fifth and final cLAIRity meeting for 2025. It's being hosted here in our new MSD facility located at 1600 West Hill Street. We are excited to be in the Park Hill neighborhood. And thank you all for joining us in person and virtually. We're going to go through some data here, some information regarding our odor mitigation program, and we'll take questions at the end. So for those of you joining virtually, share your comments or questions in the chat. Let's get started. All right, so let's start with a brief overview of MSD. MSD, we'd like to say that we are three services, three utilities in one. We protect the overall health and safety of some 800,000 residents by providing safe, clean waterways. We do that through our wastewater treatment, stormwater drainage, and our flood protection services. We work all the time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We treat 155 million gallons of wastewater daily with our 5 water quality treatment centers in Jefferson County. We also have some facilities in Oldham and Bullitt County. We have 376 square miles of drainage area and 1,100 miles of pipe for our stormwater and drainage. And from flood protection, which has been very important for us this year, for those who've been aware of the rain events we've had, particularly earlier in the year and even earlier this month, we have 26 miles of flood wall, and we protect $34 billion in property. That's why we're here today, as I said earlier, to talk about odors. We are committed to focusing on odors within the community. We created our cLAIRity program so that we could work with the community and communicate to you what we're doing to ensure that we minimize odors as much as possible. So what causes odors? Well, odors are just a natural result of sewage and other materials when they decompose. You think about a dumpster that's sitting in a facility, you walk past it, you smell it. Think about your own trash can by your home, you smell it. When things decompose, it causes this odor. Common places you might see it where it relates to the work that we do is at our treatment plants, our pump stations, some of our catch basins, and you'll even see it here, smell it sometimes in our creeks and streams. So we've talked some about outside, and then we talk about at times folks say, well, I'm smelling it in my home, around my home, et cetera. So what are some of those potential odor pathways that might cause you to smell it inside your home? Well, a catch basin on the side of the street, and we'll talk a little bit more about those. Downspouts. Some homes' downspouts are connected directly to the sewer system, which creates another pathway for odor. We recommend that you disconnect your downspouts from the sewer drain and seal them. Basement drains. These residential traps are connected directly to the sewer system. So you want to maintain or repair those traps that are located under your basement floor drains. And the fourth one you see depicted here are your sewer vents. They're designed to assist your indoor plumbing with airflow to allow waste to flow freely through the system. These become clogged and can often malfunction. So you want to make sure you maintain and repair those as well. But as I said, odors are natural, something that we deal with in the community in general. I mentioned the dumpster, but you also have odors sometimes in your industry, chemical plants. You get sometimes near large streams and discharge sites, you'll get odors as well. So we just want to make sure that everyone understands that odors, although we know there are odors related to the work that we do, there are odors that are not necessarily related to the work that we do, and that we're limited on what we can do with those. What I would say and what we try to tell everyone, if you're encountering odor that is not specific to MSD or the work that we do, to make sure you contact the APCD, and their number you can find on their website, the Air Pollution Control District, and they're the ones that would be able to provide some support to you from that perspective. So we're going to focus on sewer odors because that's why I'm here, And that's what we're saying we're going to try to minimize for us. So first and foremost, let's talk about odors in general, odor complaints. So in 2025, this is what we have to date. This is annual from January through October 30th at noon today. This is the number of odor reports that we receive from the community. And that's important for us because we need to know where those odors are. We are working with a system that's ever changing. Every time it rains, every time someone flushes something, those things all change the system and what's happening in that system. So when you're experiencing odors, we need to know that. So we encourage you to report it. Let us know. Because until we know, it's harder for us to address those issues. And as you report it, it helps us to understand where we have more problematic areas. From January through October 30th, you see there's 1,048 odor reports that we've received. One of the things I will also say is if you look at this map here, this is what we consider a heat map. And so the yellow areas are your more concentrated areas. So right in here, oh, you probably can't, can you see my mouse? You can or not, but you see where all the focused colors are? Those areas there most within 264, kind of more of your downtown, West End kind of areas, you see that it's a heavier colors there with that red and yellow. That's where we experience the most odor complaints and most odor concerns. And that's due to the fact that they are an odor system and they are on the combined system. And that wastewater flows to our largest facility and our oldest facility. So we'll talk a little bit about that combined system. Okay, there it is. For those of you that live in the combined system, you're like, well, what does that mean? I said it carries water, it provides service to, provides wastewater to our oldest facility. But what essentially it is, in that combined system, we have pipes that carry both, your stormwater and your wastewater together. And so you've got all of that flowing through your system. My apologies. Strange things here. Okay. So this picture here depicts a catch basin. And so one of the projects we're going to talk about a little bit more is the catch basins, because catch basins are an integral component of our system. And they're usually located at the edge of the street right here. And again, they can be a source of odors. So one of the things that we do is we've been talking about and we've been doing a project to try to figure out how we can improve those catch basins that tend to have more of a concern from an odor perspective. And this is a good illustration here. So if you think about your home, you think about your sink, and your garbage disposal, you think about putting things down, and we often talk about that water trap. I don't know if folks are used to that terminology or not, but there's an elbow in your sink, and that elbow keeps water. And when you keep the water in the elbow of that pipe, it prevents the odors from getting out and escaping through your sink. So that's essentially what we need to do for our catch basins. Within that combined system, which again, naturally is going to have a little more odor to it, because again, it's combined, stormwater and wastewater. We want to keep a level of water in it, like is depicted here, so that the odors don't escape. And so we've been, here's a picture of an untrapped. So in theory, you don't have, this was actually probably not the best picture because it still shows that water, but in theory, you wouldn't have it, and then you've got the odor that comes out. So what we're going to talk about later is some of the projects we're doing to change, to replace those catch basins that are untrapped and make them actual trapped catch basins. Again, so that we trap that water so that we can minimize the odors that are escaping in that scenario. So water is important. We often hear people say, well, it was smelling, and then we had a big rain, and we didn't smell anything anymore. But that's because water is important. Our system, wastewater systems, are intended to be self-cleaning. So as it rains, all that water flows through the system, it cleans the system out, things don't sit, they don't become stagnant. But there's only so much water you can physically put in there from a consumption perspective. So this is a good picture here that we like to say. So a lot of times folks will say, well, just turn on the water, get a little water, go out there and pour some water in there, all the above. Well, normal water consumption, daily water consumption in our city is only 150 million gallons a day. 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 2-inch rain is 2 billion gallons of water. So that's why rain is really, really important for us and helps us keep our system clean. So what do? We've talked about the fact that we're committed to addressing odors. And one of the things we do is we try to make sure that we always respond. There are activities that we undergo in order to do that. Some of the mitigation activities that we have right now. Every report that comes in, someone goes out, they assess it, and they come back, and they'll try to do different things. They might flush and deodorize the main, manholes, or catch basins. We add water to the system in centralized targeted areas. We'll put a lot of water in there, again, to try to get things flowing, to keep it clean and fresh. And if we've got any kind of repairs or damaged plugs and catch basins, we'll do that as well. We also do some chemical feeding in our pump stations, again, to try to cut back on the sulfides that get generated in those areas as we're moving that water through the system. And we do regular catch basin inspections and cleaning. We inspect and clean all catch basins in that combined system in a 15-month cycle. That's about 23,000 catch basins. And we're getting about almost 20,000 of them a year within that 12-month period. And as we go out and we do those things, we come up with maintenance activities. We might need to do repairs, we'll do cleanings, we'll do whatever it is that we need. We might add it to a list of further actions that needs to acquire later on. You know, we've been asked this question, well, okay, 15 months, you're only looking at every 15 months. Well, we've got several catch basins out there. What we encourage you to do is if, in fact, you're walking around and you smell an issue from one of those catch basins, call us. You call us, we'll come out, we'll inspect it, we'll clean it, and we'll try to resolve that concern. This is just a quick picture that shows you kind of the map and how we go around cleaning it. We have individuals that are dedicated and going through doing the inspections and cleanings of these catch basins because we want to ensure that we are maintaining these assets, particularly in the combined system because of the concerns we know we have with them. And you may have saw some of these before, but it's a little bit bigger, showing, you know, how that first one here shows you how they're, how they're actually cleaning and pulling stuff out of the catch basins. You know, this time of year, one of the things I'll talk to you about is leaves. You know, in your home, a lot of times folks will have leaves. If you go look at those drains at the end of your yard there, you might see them loaded with leaves and debris and a bunch of stuff that gets down in there. That causes problems. It could cause problems from a draining perspective, cause problems from an odor perspective. So, you know, we want to make sure those stay clean. If you're cutting your lawn or raking up leaves, you know, pick them up. And if you see one that's clogged and it's really an issue, call us, and so we can come out and clean it out and flush it for you. I'm going to jump a little bit here. So I gave you some history. I told you, okay, well, this is who we are. We are committed to odors. These are the things we do when you call us. These are the other activities that we do. And one of the things we did in September of 2024, we actually entered into an agreed order with the Air Pollution Control District. Again, this was another way for us to show our commitment to addressing odor in the community. And what we did was, part of that agreement was that we would develop an action plan for longer-term projects. So I talked about our response activities, all the things we do daily when you call us when there's a need. And now I'm going to go through some of those longer-term projects that we've been working on. And with that agreed order, we'll continue to have these action plans with longer-term projects over the next few years. All right. So quickly, a couple of things we've done thus far. Again, like I said, that agreed order was signed in September of 2024. Since then, these are some of those longer-term action items that we've completed. We did an actual control plan where we identified and assessed odor control issues at our second largest water quality treatment facility. We added odor control units to our southwestern pump station, which is actually off of Algonquin, thank you, Bells Lane. We've also within our collection system, there's a line that runs down Broadway from about the downtown area all the way down to the Shawnee Park. And so we've been doing some analysis and assessments on that line because we want to figure out what we can do to try to improve some of the odor issues that we've experienced on that line. So we've done these studies to look at what we can do from an air treatment or liquid treatment perspective. So we've got some great data there that we're looking at, and we'll be piloting some options there. And catch basins. Catch basins, again, those were those drains I showed you earlier. We've been actively working on identifying those that are not tracked so that we can replace those. So we've inspected about 2,000 from that perspective, and we've replaced 267 in the California neighborhood, Shawnee neighborhood, East Market, Nulu area. So now I'm going to talk about some of the projects that are in progress. Again, as I said earlier, we have this agreed order. We identified these longer-term projects we're working on, and some of them pertain to our treatment facilities, some of them pertain to our collection system, and some of them pertain to our pump stations. And so some of the projects that are underway in our treatment facility, oh no. All right, my apologies for that. Some of the projects that are underway in our treatment facility, so Morris Foreman, you heard me mention the oldest and largest water quality treatment center. Well, that's Morris Foreman. And it is down on the Ohio River in the West End area. You're probably familiar, it's in Rubbertown area. And we have a multi-year project that we're working on to look at how to better handle our solids. And when we talk about solids, we're talking about when the water flows through, that's what settles out when you're talking about the wastewater. And so we've got a large project that will not only reduce odors, but will add some odor treatment, and that is well under the way. And that's a project that, again, won't complete until 2028. We've got some new technology that we're going to be using, and I think that picture down there is a little bit older, but it's showing how we're doing major construction on that project today. We're also getting ready to install and working on a new system that will help clean the air by removing hydrogen sulfide and the digester gas. So within our system here, what we'll do is right now we've got this finalized design. We've selected a contractor, and we are projecting that to be complete by July of 2026. It will help reduce the gas waste and use to make it more of a cleaner energy source for us. Our sedimentation basins. So we've got 4 sedimentation basins at this facility. And part of the project we did was to improve that. So what it'll do is it will provide us with improved efficiency, as well as minimize some of the concerns we have from an odor perspective as well, to help address that. We are well underway with finalizing that work. We've got 2 of the 4 basins already rehabilitated and in service, and we're actively working on the last 2 now. So I talked about the collection system, but I don't know that I explained what the collection system is. So it essentially routes the wastewater from the homes and businesses and industries to the water quality treatment centers. That system of pipes that carries that water. And so when I mentioned earlier, there was a pipeline that runs from middle of downtown Maple Street area all the way down to the park. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about the western outflow. That's part of our collection system that moves that water down so that we can get it to the treatment plant to treat it before it's discharged. So within the collection system, we have some upcoming projects. You heard me talk about how we did a study for that line that runs down Broadway. Well, we're also doing studies on the Ohio River Force main, which is a little bit further north of our service territory, as well as we're going to be doing a study for some chemical use study for our Grand Avenue pump station. So we currently are using a chemical, it's called a bioxide, at Grand Avenue. And what we're doing now is we're doing some analysis to see if we can find a better chemical to use at our pump station that will keep the sulfides down, and so that that water, as it carries down our collection system, will be less of a concern further down in the neighborhoods and communities. You heard me talk some about the pump stations and heard me talk about flood protection. So we're going to talk about one of those pump stations. So Starkey Pump Station is one of those pump stations that's clear down in this area in the combined system that tends to have more of an odor concern to it. So one of the upcoming projects there is to look at odor control options at that plant. We've got a 7-step assessment that's underway for it to really figure out what are those types of treatment options that will be available for us. I've talked a lot about catch basins, and I said we had about 23,000, I think was the number, within the combined system, but we maintain more than 40,000 catch basins in the city and county. And we are actively prioritizing looking at the replacement for those. Those are usually right there at the street, right at your home. And so we want to ensure that when you're calling us for a concern with those, that we're able to address those. Again, it's a big part of our response activities, but it's also a big part of what we're doing for replacements. As I spoke about earlier, we replaced 267 is what I stated. So we will continue that work. We are doing inspections in Algonquin and Beachmont are up next. We'll continue to work through all these areas in our combined system. And we'll have, and replacements are underway in Taylor Berry, or will be underway in Taylor Berry, Portland, and in the Central Business District. Again, as we continue to work through our list, we're trying to identify those areas that are heavier concerns with odor. We're inspecting those and prioritizing replacing those. Catch basin replacements have begun. Let's see, I think we've got about 14 identified for Taylor Berry, 366 for Portland, and 282 right now showing for the Central Business District. So, you've heard me talk about who we are as MSD, right? I also talked about our commitment to odors. I really wanted to express upon you the importance of helping us to mitigate the concerns that you might be experiencing. So please call us if you have a concern. You can email us. You can go to our website, louisvillemsd.org. There's plenty of information on there to report an odor. If, in fact, you want to see more about the project items, the action plan is out there, all of the above. We have, I think, a dashboard with some data information out there for you as well. It's important for us to know when you're having a concern so that we can try to address that concern. Although this is our last community meeting for this year, our clAIRity meeting is what I will call it, we are still available to come to your neighborhood groups, community meetings, district council meetings. We've done several of those, church meetings, any of the above, to talk to those and talk to any of you. If you are talking with someone and they say, I've got odor issues, please have them call us. The more you let us know and the more specific you're about what the issue is that you're smelling, when you're smelling it, even the location, the easier it is for us to try to address that concern. You can also email us at this address. And that's what I have for today. So at that, thank you for joining us. For those that are joined virtually, please submit your questions via chat. For those that are in the room, thank you so much for joining us. I am going to open it up for questions. The one comment I'll make is we want to make sure that we are being as effective as possible with trying to address your concerns. If you've got a concern that's specific to your home, please make sure we get your name, your number, and your address so we can get some of our experts out to really try to assess what the concern is. Okay? Do we have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
As far as your catch basins, right there, when you're coming around the bend after you cross the tracks from the concrete place, there are no catch basins right there. Are there? Are there? I live right here, and you all are right there.
Okay.
And I know that the property across the street, it used to flood, and y'all put all that in there. But there are no catch basins along our way.
Okay. Well, if we can get your name and your address so we can know exactly where you are, and then we can talk to you about your concern and get someone out there to really see what's happening. Any other questions? Is there anything online? Okay. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining us. And please, if you have an odor concern, please contact us and let us know, because we want to work with you and we want to ensure that we're keeping our air as clean and as smelling as good as we possibly can. So everyone have a wonderful evening. Bye.